back to the shed. So yeah, over the winter I was sort of thinking that KR1s are just not powerful enough. So you know, they're just totally gutless. So I thought I'd remedy that by making a 300cc KR1s. So no, yeah, actually the real reason is a lot of the pistons you can get these for KR1s are made of dog shit. And I've had a couple of, well, I've had a piston failure, not just one, I've had several in different areas. So I was just going to get me barrels repaired, put another piston in it, and I thought, well, then I was trying to get some quality pistons. That would just take forever to get. So I thought, oh, bollocks to this. I know I can get some oversized pistons to make it a 300cc, so that's what we're going to do. So I'm using, so these are the barrels off the failed head transplant. So this is off the other bike that I've got. As you can see, it's got a damaged typical problem where the piston ring decides to escape to freedom out of the exhaust port, and it sort of damages the barrel. So these are the barrels we're going to use to turn it into a 300. Ironically, that barrel's alright, but that's by the by. I've got some old KR1 barrels which I've been using to sort of do some practice machining. This one's absolutely scrap. It's been laying in water forever. I suppose you could re-weld that and redeck it, but it really can't be arsed. But anyway, yeah, I was just literally just testing my fixture out, boring that out to size. So yeah, it turned out alright, it's good. So today, what I've done, so I haven't just jumped in and bored these out. What I needed to do, I asked a few questions on a two-stroke forum around head volume, whether to change the head volume, blah blah blah. And the advice I got, which was very good advice, was measure what you have and then just increase the head volume proportional to how much you increase the cc by. So doing a few sums, I've figured out it's not much difference, to be fair, but I'm certainly not going to be making the head volume any smaller. I think the key to it really is to get the squish right. So what I've done is I've set up the standard barrel on the other set of crankcases here. So this has got a standard barrel, well, it's got a barrel, standard size piston, and earlier on today, I won't bore you with the method because I've shown you how to do it before, but basically I put a bit of solder across the top of the piston. I've also shimmed this with a 0.4 base gasket, so I've got that off the deck by 0.4mm. Done the squish, measured that. Someone's been in this engine because these barrels have all been flowed and ported, which is good, so it saves me having to do it. But also, yeah, so I've measured the squish.
You have to stop moving.
I'll just put that up there and then you can focus on the end of it.
You want me to focus on the end?
It's hard to focus. So I've measured that, and that's 0.75, which is pretty much optimum. And that's with the head clamped with the head gasket. And obviously that put across the front, so that tells me that standard as it is, it's in a good position. So the task is to bore this out, get it off the deck by the same thickness as this, modify a head gasket, get that on and measure that squish. I'm not too worried about setting the squish up yet, and I may have to, well, I will have to modify the head slightly, but I don't think we need to do a lot. And the reason I say that is the pistons that I've got, this is it. So you can see the difference. That's a 61mm and that's a 56 standard. So that's what we're going to try and get in it. Now normally, I think with pistons that were available before, the pin to crown height was quite different. But so as a reference, what we'll do is we'll put them both on the same pin. If you look across the top, they are pretty much spot on. So this is the area I'm interested in at the moment. So the crown might be slightly higher, but it's this part here. So what that tells me is that that barrel can sit at the same height on the crankcases. So if, for instance, that was 2mm higher, what you'd have to do is bring the barrel up to compensate. So it would require a spacer on the bottom to bring the barrel up, or lower even. So that's the piston we're going to use. So let's go over to the lathe and crack on. So what we're going to do is we're going to spin this on its centre, and the way I'm going to do that is that I've made a fixture. So I've just used my 4-jaw chuck. I've machined this diameter to suit the diameter on the bottom of the barrel, because I believe that's how they originally held it when they done the machining of the bore. Anyway, they're concentric, so I'm going to use that as a reference. So this is all running true. So there's a couple of things that we're going to use. So to get a rough measurement, we use a nice vernier. Once we start getting near the size, I'm going to use my bore mic. So this is, they're a bit fiddly to use, but once you get used to them, they're alright. Basically, you can get a much more accurate measurement than you can with a vernier. Also, I have referenced these against my gauge blocks today because this was reading a bit out, so I had to just calibrate that. What we need to work out is the final bore machining diameter, and the way we find that is that our piston is 60.94, so that's what our piston diameter is, and that isn't. The pistons are tapered as well, so you've got to measure them around here, opposite 90 degrees to the pin, because they're a bit of a weird shape when you measure them, and they're definitely tapered from the top down, so they get bigger at the bottom. So you find there's an area around here which will measure what's on the crown. So we'll take that as the piston diameter, 60.94. So the guy who sent me the piston, Sean, top man, he's wealth of knowledge. Check him out. He's at the Tuning Works. Really helpful. He's got all the time in the world for you. So if you want to do this, then he'll do all this conversion for you. If you want to just send your barrels to him. His advice, he's done a lot of trials, and he's found that the optimum clearance is 0.08, which is 80 microns. So that is the clearance in the bore. So we add that onto either side of the piston, so 0.04 on either side. So that brings us to where the lining needs to be honed to. So this is after it's been plated, and then they have to hone it to that dimension. So what we need to do is we need to bore this out bigger so they can get their plating in. Now, talking to the guys who are going to plate it for me, they said the plating thickness after machining or after honing is around 100 microns. So 100 microns is 0.1 millimeters. So you add that onto both sides, because that's 0.1, and that is 0.1 millimeters. So that gives us a final size of 61.22. So that is the dimension that I'm aiming for. So that's the bit we're trying to machine out. Also, I forgot to mention, but before I machine this out, I took some measurements of where the port heights and stuff are. So I want to make sure that we don't change the port heights dramatically anyway. The way you do that is with a standard bore. You put your piston ring in it, slide your piston down, and then your ring can indicate where your bores, where your ports are opening. But that's for the next video. So now I'll chuck some oil in this. Everything's still razor sharp on the edges, so the next video hopefully we'll just go over changing a few of the ports, because by taking this out, the boost port at the back has dropped, so we need to bring that back up to where it was. But temporarily what we'll do is we'll chuck a piston in, we'll get some base gasket spacers, and we'll see where we are roughly. So we're just trying to get a measurement of, you know, roughly where we are. Put some lube in the bore. You can see at that piston crown there, and if we compare that to the other side, which is the standard, so you can see this is just slightly below that rim, and this one is pretty much bang on, right level with that. So where all the ports are, and if you look now at the back, that rear port, this boost port at the back here, look, has dropped by a good probably 5mm. So that boost port should be level with these ones here. Let me find a better pokey stick, as I've just spotted. If we look up the exhaust, you can see the piston crown is quite proud there. Look. This much here from the crown of the piston. So if we compare that to the standard side, that's probably half the distance there. And now we need to start mapping where the ports need to be, and so that's the next stage. I think looking at that exhaust, I think I'm going to raise it up, because we can still, you know, we've probably got a mil or so that we can bring this up by, and then we won't have to do too much to the head. So I think we'll bring it up on the base and maybe just open up the squish band in the head. But all the head stuff can be done after these have been plated and they've come back and we start building the engine up. And these barrels and pistons are going on my green, blue and white KR1s, the one that went bang last year. So I'm really looking forward to getting that back on the road, because I do like thrashing it about. So, thanks for being patient. I know things have been a bit up in the air, and obviously I've got lots of shit to get on with, but I thought now is the right time for me to crack on with this project. Hopefully you'll find it interesting, and hopefully it gives you a bit of an insight into what's involved. This is by far, in no means this is a how to do it video. I'm basing a lot of this on advice that I'm getting off of people, you know, and I'll give it a go. I don't care. I'll have a go. I don't care if I balls it up. I balls it up. But you know, I really wanted to give this a go, and I really wanted to put a motor together properly. And the motor in the black one, is phenomenal. It's a 250, but because the crank cases were flowed well, carbs are set up good, it just pulls and pulls and pulls. So I think I probably wouldn't have done this yet had I been able to get some good forged, you know, decent pistons for it. But I don't know, I was just getting led down all sorts of paths about pistons and that, and I thought, well, sod it, you know, I'll go for it on this. I've kept the barrels from the green, blue and white one because they're the ones Andy ported for me. Andy used to work for Stan Stevens, is a top bloke. He's going to show me a few little tips and tricks on what to do with these. I know I've just got to get the heights right, but he'll be able to show me, you know, the little black book measurements that we need to just finesse these barrels. I'm not going to go mental with the tuning on it. The idea of going to a 300cc is you get a more usable engine and you don't have to have them so highly strung, which is really ideal for the road. I don't race these, I just ride them on the road. So the idea of having a slightly larger capacity, it just gives you a stronger engine that you don't have to thrash all the time. Whereas the 250s, you know, they are a bit highly strung. So hopefully this is going to give me a much more usable engine. So I'm certainly not doing it for massive power gains. I'm just doing it to make, you know, a better engine out of it. So that's all for today. Hit that like button, subscribe if you can be asked. There's obviously a lot of other things you can subscribe to on the internet. But yeah, hopefully you enjoy it. Leave a comment, I love reading your comments. So yeah, thanks for watching.